Why do we get such bad road rage? Someone makes an idiotic move, and no matter how innocent it is, we're suddenly cursing their ancestors for ever spawning such a massive pound cake. I used to let road rage ruin my entire day, but I finally found a way to fix it, and I'm going to share that with you today. Road rage is an intense emotional response caused by frustration or anger while driving. It can include yelling, honking, making rude gestures, dangerous driving like tailgating or cutting people off, and in extreme cases, it can lead to physical violence and even death. Rage is always the fight or flight response, or FOF as I'll be calling it. FOF is a physiological response to a perceived threat, and it usually manifests in 4 main ways. So rage is the fight FOF response. Your FOF being triggered means that your brain has perceived something in the situation as a threat, and therefore it's triggered the rage in order to protect you from that threat. Unfortunately, some people take their rage way too far, and many people have gotten hurt because of that. I want to caution everyone out there not to let your road rage get the better of you, because you never know if you're dealing with someone who is willing to go so far as to seriously hurt you. So let's make sure that doesn't happen. Okay, so if rage is FOF, then why has FOF been triggered? Well, the road is a dangerous place to be. There are legitimately dangerous situations to be encountered that will signal to our brain there is a threat to safety. What I'm particularly interested in discussing with you today is when we get road rage in a situation that isn't at all life-threatening. Because if something is potentially life-threatening, like someone is weaving in and out of traffic aggressively, it's not really a big mystery why your fight or flight is triggered. I knew a woman who thought that her road rage was triggered in her perception of incompetence in the other driver. And that's because she basically had to raise herself as a kid. So she thinks that there's a neurological wiring in her brain that incompetence equals danger. It's very possible that that's the case, but I have another theory. Let me illustrate this theory with an example from last week. I was driving home, waiting to turn left, not at a light or a stop sign, just a left on a through road. And then there was a car coming from the other direction. So obviously I wait. He starts slowing down and then turns on his blinker to turn right down the same street that I'm waiting to turn down. I still wait because on a through road, the right turner has the right of way. But then he starts slowing down a lot. I'm getting annoyed because he should have already turned by now. And a thought crosses my mind, is he actually wanting me to go first? Clearly, I've been waiting for him. But also, that doesn't even matter. The rules of the road are that he has the right of way. Well, my thoughts turn out to be accurate because he slows down to a full stop on a through road and waves for me to make my left turn. And then it just hit me. Pure red hot fury over something so small and not life-threatening at all. I felt such a rage, as though he had moited my entire family. How can you so blatantly disregard the rules of the road? And why? Isn't it clear that I've been waiting for you to go? And all the time that you took slowing down and stopping, we could both have already made the turn by now. So what reason? Is it for politeness? Like he's thinking, oh, you've been waiting so much longer, so you go first. Like he's doing me a favor or something? That makes my blood boil even more. The thought that he was doing it as though it was a kindness. No, I'm sorry. Ignoring the rules of the road is not doing me a kindness. Because if I go and then he decides to go and we get into an accident, guess who's at fault in the eyes of the insurance company? And the police report. I don't like taking that risk. And I feel like the people who prioritize politeness over the rules of the road are forcing me to take that risk. I hate that. So this is an annoyance, right? It's not like it's life-threatening. It could end up in an accident, but it wouldn't be a life-threatening one. Certainly one where I would be on the hook for cost of repairs as the driver at fault. So why did it induce this rage within me? Before I answer that, does this situation sound like you at all? Maybe not this exact situation, but an experience where your blood just boiled over something pretty small? Because if the answer is yes, let me ask you one more question. Were you allowed to express anger when you were a child? Did your parents let you be angry, or did they punish you for being angry? Or maybe they didn't punish you, but maybe they discouraged you from expressing anger and being angry. Because I'd be willing to bet a lot of money the answer to that is that you weren't allowed to express anger when you were a kid. What our parents did by discouraging our anger is they created a neurological pathway in our brain that says, when I am angry, my survival is at stake. The caregiver does not like anger. The caregiver is needed for survival. Therefore, anger is bad. Anger is a threat to survival. And now anger triggers fight or flight. Quick side note, if you're a parent, please let your kid be angry, even if it's at you. For the longest time, I could never understand why, because I was not allowed to express anger as a kid, that's the reason why I am so angry now. Like, that just didn't make sense to me. But now I get it. There are two kinds of anger. There is the normal, healthy emotion of anger, and then there is the fight or flight anger, the rage. Now here's what happens. That guy on the road who waits for you to make your left turn, even though he has the right of way and now you're waiting longer than you would have if he had just made the friggin' turn. That is generating a perfectly normal, healthy anger response in my mind and body. It made me angry because it's something understandably annoying for a person to do. However, because I am now angry, that neurological pathway has been triggered and set in motion. So cue the fight or flight. And because it is a survival response, it takes over the situation completely. The FOF anger is the rage, the boiling blood, the seeing red. You know it, you felt it. Now, an added c-ptsd layer to this, for those of you watching with c-ptsd, is that when I am in fight or flight, that actually triggers more fight or flight. I can feel this now. It's like it's just snowballing and building on itself. And I've come to realize that fight or flight is like a volume dial. It can be very low sometimes. When you have c-ptsd, very rarely is it all the way at 0. You're usually always slightly, just a little tiny bit. Other times the dial is very high and it's incredibly difficult for me to turn it down without the aid of alcohol, sleep, or some other coping mechanism. And this snowballing means that by the time I get home, I'm crankier than I should be. I take it out on my friends, family, but also cashiers, strangers. It just spirals and leads to a very unhappy life. But I have finally figured it out. The key to not letting road rage ruin my entire day. Okay, are you ready? The key is to embrace your anger. Acknowledge it, accept it, and let it exist. Fully. Really let it exist. I bet that when you have road rage, you feel like you're accepting your anger because it's enveloping you. You're drowning in it. Drowning in your anger is not what I'm talking about. If you are tortured by rage, listen carefully. And I don't mean listen to me. I mean listen to you. When you are in FOF rage, you will be having thoughts that you don't want to be feeling angry. If you can't hear these thoughts yet, try meditation. Meditation unlocked a lot of this stuff for me. Hear the thoughts that you don't want to feel this way. The thoughts that hate your anger. Those thoughts are the people from your childhood who told you not to be angry. And we don't want them to control our lives anymore. They've done enough. So what do? We're going to put those thoughts aside and then acknowledge that we are angry and fully accept it. Embrace that we are angry. Say it to yourself. Say, I am angry and it's okay to be angry. You're not going to try to change it. You're going to give it a place to exist. Now, I want to note that sometimes you may feel like this doesn't work. I felt that a lot too. And I realized that those moments where it feels like it's not working are when the FOF dial is just way too high up. This technique gets hard or even impossible to access if the fight or flight dial is too high up. And it can make you feel like you're not making any progress. But the more I do it for small and medium triggers, the more I notice it's starting to work better for larger triggers. This is a long path that we are on. We need patience. It will happen in time as long as we're putting in the work. I know the frustration because I've been there. I am there. And it's like, I wish someone would just tell me what to do. Well, I am telling you, don't expect a miracle solution. Expect things to happen slowly as you put in the practice, as you build up your skills. Start accepting the emotions that are triggering you. Give them space to exist. Allow them to be with you. Even welcome them. Eventually, you will get to a point where you love your anger. And as someone who has struggled with anger for many years, I never would have thought that was possible, but it has happened to me. I love my anger. It sticks up for me. It helps me. It tells me what I can do to make my life better. And I'm in the process of building this harmonious relationship with it, and it has been incredibly useful. So to summarize, start by noticing the thoughts that don't want the anger to be there. Sometimes the anger could be so loud that you can't hear these thoughts, but they're there. If you're in fight or flight because of your anger, that means your mind and body do not want to be angry. So you are definitely going to be having thoughts that you don't want to feel this way. It's such a counterintuitive system. It's like, I don't want you to feel angry, so I'm going to make you really angry. But that's literally what it's doing. Do your best to identify the thoughts that don't want the anger present, and try putting them aside. These thoughts represent voices from the past that told you your anger was bad. Next, choose to accept the anger. Let it exist. Sit with it. Get comfortable with it. If you're driving, you're already sitting, so you're halfway there. When you accept the anger and tell your brain it's okay to be angry, and that you're not going to tell it to go away, the fight or flight starts to come down. It's not going to help a ton when you first start doing it. The more you do it, the less triggered you will be when it happens again. So the dial may only go up to 70 instead of 80. You know what I mean? And that's a win, by the way. You might not think it is, but you're not going to go from 80 to 0 overnight. Nothing in life works that way. Every time you do this, your brain and body are going to trust you more, and they're going to know that you'll be supportive of the emotions and not denying them. As you get more comfortable with regular anger, the less you will be triggered into FOF anger. And even if you do get triggered, at least you have a plan of action for how to manage it. I hope today's topic resonated with you and that you found the advice helpful. Please be safe out there. We can't do anything about other people's road rage, but we can learn to effectively manage our own. And the less rage that we have on the road, the more safe we're all gonna be. If you're new here, I'm a small-time YouTuber hoping to help other people who are struggling with the same things that I have, so your support matters a great deal. And yes, I mean you, the person watching this right now. Consider liking, subscribing, commenting to show the algorithm that my content is worth spreading. Doing so means that you are helping me to help other people, and so I truly appreciate your participation. Well, that's all for today. We'll see you next week. That was like really confusing. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm not really having fun with this one today. I'm just kind of like trying to get through it. I think because I'm a little stressed. That's okay. No, it's not going to be great every week. I can't do it. Like, I'm not tough. You wanna go?